In this video, we're going to be looking at subtracting integers. So please go ahead and turn to 3.3 in your notes packet and we will begin. So our essential question for today will be, how do I subtract integers? So we could do this using counters. Counters are when I can make little notations, like if I have 4 negatives, I'd put 4 little negative signs out there. And then if I'm taking away 3 of those negatives, I would go, well, I don't want this one, I don't want that one, and I don't want that one. And how many would I have left? 1 negative. So I could say -1. We could do the same with -7 minus 5, where I start off with 7 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 negatives. But if I'm going to take away 5 positives, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm taking away these 5 positives, what I'm really doing is making them their opposites. So all these are gone, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. And then how many do I have total? Well, this would be 12 negatives, so -12. And if we had 4 minus 6, we start with 4 positives. Then I'm taking away 6. If I only have 4 to take away, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, then I'd still have 2 more negatives to work with. So I'd still have those 2 negatives from the 6. So that answer would be -2. And then the same with 5 minus -3. I'd start with 5 positives. Then I have the 3 negatives, but I'm taking them away. So if I'm taking them away, they become their opposite. So those are gone, and I end up with 3 positives. And how many positives are there total? There are 8. So the main idea when we're subtracting integers is the idea that what I'm really going to be doing is adding the opposite. We're going to be adding the opposite. And by adding the opposite, what this lets us do is lean on those rules from adding integers. So the only thing we're really going to do is change what a subtraction problem looks like real quick, and then use those same kind of 3 steps to figure out the answer. So to add the opposite, we will change subtraction to addition. And make the second number opposite. So the first number will stay the same. We'll change subtraction to addition, and then we'll make the second number opposite. So let's try that. We're going to leave the first number the same, -9. We'll change subtraction into addition. And then we're going to add the the opposites. What's the opposite of negative 7? 7. Now we get to use those 3 questions. Are my signs the same or different? Negative 9, positive 7, those are different. When my signs are different, do I add or subtract? We subtract, and then we keep the sign of the larger looking number. So we'll keep the sign of the 9, it's negative, so our answer will be negative 2. So let's try number 2. We will keep the first number the same, negative 5. Then we add the opposite. So I'm going to add, and then 11, what's the opposite of 11? Negative 11. Add the opposite. So now are my signs the same or are they different? They're different, or the same. They are the same. Negative 5, negative 11. So I will add. Get 16, and we add and keep. So we're going to get negative 16. Number 3. Keep that first number the same. Then we add the opposite. And what's the opposite of 17? Negative 17. And this is just how we do. We're going to keep that first number the same, then add the opposites. The opposite of 17 is negative 17. Go through our 3 questions. Are my signs the same or different? Positive 8, negative 17. Those are different. Add or subtract. So we'll subtract. And we get 9. And we keep the sign. So positive or negative for our answer. We'll keep the sign of the larger looking number. So it's negative. Let's look at number 4. First number stays the same, negative 13. Then we add the opposite. So I'm going to change subtraction to adding, and then 9 becomes a negative 9. Now we go through our 3 questions. Are my signs the same or are they different? They're the same. Do I add or subtract? Well, when they're the same, we add. We get 22, and we add and keep. And what are we keeping? We're keeping that negative. Keep the sign. So right here, what I'd like you to do is try number 5 and 6. So let's go ahead and pause right here, and then we will look at 7 and 8 together. So please try 5 and 6 on your own. Okay, so hopefully you took the chance to try these on your own. Okay, let's go through our steps. We're going to keep the first number the same, 34. Then we add the opposite. So I'm going to add, and what's the opposite of negative 25? 25. Now for me, I have to stack these to do my addition. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So now my answer is 59. Okay, let's look at number 6. We're going to keep that first number the same, negative 62. And then we add the opposite. So I'm going to add. And what's the opposite of negative 100? Positive 100. Go through our 3 questions. Are my signs the same or are they different? Well, I have negative 62, positive 100, so they're different. Will I add or subtract? Different signs subtract, so we got to go 100 minus 62. We're borrowing. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 6 is 3. Don't do anything with that 0, so we know we have 38. And is it a positive 38 or negative 38? Well, we'll keep the sign of the larger number, so we'll keep the positive coming from the 100. So there we go. So number 7, it says evaluate the expression x minus 3 minus y when x equals 9 and y equals negative 4. So we're going to turn the x into that 9. So x will become 9. We'll bring down our minus symbol. We'll bring down our 3. Bringing down that minus symbol. Now y will turn into, y is negative 4. So I'm going to have minus a negative 4, like that. So we'll do two numbers at a time. But I'm going to add the opposite. So what we can do is we can go add the opposite and then add the opposite. So we can do all our changing right here. So we can say 9 plus negative 3 plus 4. Adding the opposite of 3 is negative 3. Adding the opposite of negative 4 is 4. So we'll go through this. Same signs or different signs. We're just going to do two numbers at a time. These signs are different. Add or subtract. We will subtract. 9 minus 3 is 6. And is it positive or negative 6? We'll keep the sign of the 9, so it's positive. Then we just bring down the plus 4. And 6 plus 4 is 10. So we follow the same steps. We're just going to add the opposite, and then we evaluate or simplify. Okay, let's look at number 8. The Tigers, a football team, must gain 10 yards in the next 4 plays to keep possession of the ball. The Tigers lose 12 yards. So if they're losing 12 yards, is that positive or negative? That's negative. And they gain 5 yards. So we're going to add 5 or are we going to take away 5? They're gaining 5 yards. We'll add 5. And they lose 8 yards. Losing 8 yards. So we're going to add 5, add 8, or take away 8? We'll take away 8. And then they gain 14 yards. So gaining, we will add. Do the Tigers maintain possession of the ball? So we need this to be equal to 10 or more to answer this question. So this is what we're looking for. Is our answer 10 or more? So let's find out. So I'll start by changing all my subtractions into add and opposite. So I have negative 12 plus 5 minus 8 plus 14. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. Negative 12 plus 5. Add the opposite plus negative 8 plus 14. And then we'll just take it two numbers at a time, moving down the line. So I have negative 12 and 5. Are my signs the same or different? They're different. So do we add or subtract? We'll subtract. And we get 7, positive or negative. Keep the sign from the 12, so that'll be a negative. Keeping the sign from the 12. Then we'll bring everything else down. We'll do two more numbers. Negative 7 plus negative 8. Are my signs the same or different? They're the same, so we'll add 15 and we'll keep the negative. Bring down our plus 14. One last step. Are my signs the same or different? They are different, so we'll subtract and keep the sign of the negative 15. And that is how we will subtract integers. Thank you for watching.